Okay, this is on. Okay, good morning, and thank you all for being here this morning and to join us. And thank you, Governor, for your very kind introductory remarks. And actually, I'm very happy and very grateful that I have this opportunity to speak directly with the people of the press. Microphone is off. So I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to speak directly with you, members of the press, and whose work is actually so important in helping the public to understand the economic choices and the opportunities that are shaping Montenegro's future. And in a world of complexity and rapid developments, the press plays an indispensable role in helping citizens and policymakers to navigate the uncertainty, uphold transparency, and foster informed debate and discussions. I must say I had very good meetings here in Montenegro, and it's always very good to be on the ground. I met with your Prime Minister, your Minister of Finance, the President of the Parliament, and what I take with me to DC of all these meetings is that how Montenegro actually stands out today as a leading country in the region, combining strong economic fundamentals, and on this I'm very happy to see that there is this clear commitment to European integration. And I cannot repeat that enough. Montenegro's European future, that is not only a strategic choice for your country, but it's also a strategic choice for Europe. It's a vital anchor of stability, prosperity, and shared values in a world where uncertainty and, very unfortunately, geopolitical conflicts are on the rise. We have also Ukraine in my constituency, so we are at the heart of all the geopolitical tensions in this world. So, and I'm very pleased, the Governor made that point in her introductory remarks, the progress that has been made on SEPA. And it was actually very good to see how the Central Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and also the Prime Minister's office have worked very closely together to make SEPA a reality in Montenegro. And Montenegro was the first country actually to get into SEPA. And the benefits, the Governor has said that, and I hope that you members of the press will stress that and explain that to the citizens, but the benefits of SEPA for citizens and for corporations, they are huge. And this is really a concrete example of what European integration will mean for the economy. So we cannot stress that enough. It's a major development. So, having said that, this morning I would really like to take you a little bit to 4 key themes. I want to begin with a few reflections on the IMF and the partnership we have with Montenegro. Then I want to highlight important work that is being done by the Central Bank under the current leadership. And I also want to explore with you a little bit what it could mean for Montenegro to move from a country that is actually using the euro to a country that is becoming a full member of the EU and ultimately even the euro area. And finally, I want to also use this opportunity to share some reflections on the broader global economic environment and what that all means for Montenegro's path forward. So, let me start with the IMF relationship with Montenegro. So Montenegro has been a member of the IMF since 2007, and it's part of a constituency of 16 countries. 16 countries. We are the number 4 in the board, so we come with the voting power just after the US, Japan and China. And then it is my constituency where I'm very happy that Montenegro is part of it. So 16 countries, and most of them are European-oriented economies, open economies, small open economies, and that matters. That's an important voice in the IMF. And what, in my opinion, stands out in the IMF engagement with Montenegro, that is how effectively the country has used IMF support, and especially in capacity development since they've become a member of the IMF. Capacity development from public finance, debt management, financial supervision and transparency. So Montenegro has really embraced these reforms that have been recommended in TA reports of the IMF, and they've not done that only just to meet standards, but they've done that with a commitment to build really a modern and a resilient economy, and that is now ready for deeper integration with Europe. So, and that brings me to a recent and very practical example of technical assistance that the IMF has provided to the Central Bank of Montenegro, and that's the Transparency Code Review. The full report is available on the IMF website. The Central Bank, I cannot stress that enough, initiated actually that on a very voluntary basis with the IMF. So the IMF is not forcing central banks to do that. That review assessed in a very critical way, because that's our role. We are a body that tells the truth, economic truth tellers. That model assessed and that review assessed actually the bank's governance, the communication, what we are doing here today, accountability practices against international standards. So, and I want really to take the moment also to thank the governor and to recognize that she took that initiative, because that is very important. And this is, for me, an illustration of the commitment of the central bank to actually to make this institutional commitment to reform and to be one of the strongest voices in the region. So what does that review entail, basically? So that review encouraged clearer articulation of the bank's role in a euro-based economy. Particularly because for the moment its mandate is limited in monetary policy and emergency liquidity provisions. But I say for the moment because this role will change from the moment that Montenegro enters the EU and from the moment that Montenegro then enters also the Eurozone. And that report, I really invite you to read it in detail. It highlights all kinds of opportunities to enhance transparency in financial risk management and public oversight. And communication was also an important theme. And the review has offered practical examples and suggestions to make the bank structure and staffing more accessible, to adopt a more strategic, data-driven approach to outreach. That's actually what we are doing here today. This is an outreach moment, and I appreciate it very much. And also how the central bank can ensure that the messages that the central bank produces are timely, relevant, and aligned, of course, with Montenegro's economic context. Also, the importance of transparency in managing foreign exchange reserves, recommendation of publication of key documents and data to build public confidence. It's all covered in that report. What also is important, and that is also something that we need to highlight today, that report offers also a view on areas where the IMF considers that the central bank has demonstrated already a very strong practice, and that's especially the work on anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing supervision. And the report even encouraged the central bank to be actually much more vocal on all the work that the central bank is doing in that area. So what for me really stands out in that process, that review, is how the central bank has actually embraced the report. And they've reacted to that report in a very proactive, in a constructive way, and a forward-looking approach. Because the IMF, I say, it are not always easy messages to get, but the central bank took it as it is and say, okay, this is a moment to actually conduct reform. And That kind of leadership that we see here at the central bank, that is unique across our membership. Our membership has 191 members. And what for me is important, that sends a very powerful signal for how ready Montenegro is for its next stage in European integration. I want not to say a few words on a topic that affects every citizen here in Montenegro, and that is the country's use of the euro. Montenegro is a euro-using economy, so that means it uses the euro as its currency, but it's not yet part of the euro system. And the euro system is actually the network of all the central banks that implement the monetary policy in the euro area. And that distinction is important. I hope that you, as members of the press, contribute to explaining to the citizens what it all means. So, in a euro-using system, the central bank does not issue a currency or set interest rates. It can also not access central bank's liquidity facilities, and it doesn't participate in shaping the euro area monetary policy. Its role is focused on fostering, maintaining a sound banking system, as well as a safe and efficient payment systems. So for citizens, what this means is they use the euro on a daily basis, just like people in France, in Germany, or in my country, Belgium. But Montenegro does not yet benefit from all the full protection and support mechanism that comes with being part of the euro area institutional framework. And nor does it have a voice in decisions that affect interest rates on monetary conditions across the Eurozone. However, and I think that is a very important one to say, if Montenegro were to join the EU, and eventually, after successfully convergence report of the ECB and the European Commission, that will also look at the fiscal conditions and so on, the central bank can ultimately join the euro system. And then the central bank will gain a seat at the table in Frankfurt, where the European monetary policy making is conducted. And the central bank would actually no longer have to rely on Eurosystem repo facilities. It's a little bit technical here for non-Europe area central banks, but it would be actually fully integrated into the euro area's financial safety net. And that offers greater protection for the banking system and, by extension, also greater protection for depositors and households. So, joining the euro area, that would be a very transformative step. We've seen that already what SEPA is going to do. It will be a step that brings a lot of transformation, not only for corporations, institutions, but actually for every citizen. And I hope that you can stress that message, because I'm pretty sure all the citizens here in Montenegro, they want to see financial security, more stable growth, lower interest rate for financing mortgages, investments, and of course they want to see deeper integration with Europe. So the benefits are very clear, and that makes that the work that is needed to achieve that path to member of the euro area makes it even more exciting and strategic. And I want to be very clear that we here at the IMF, but also all the countries of the constituency, I have euro area countries, I have non-euro area countries, advanced, developing countries, we fully support the work that is being done here in Montenegro and the work that the central bank is conducting to meet the highest standards of independence, transparency, and to be actually operational ready for the day that is going to come, EU membership and then also ultimately Eurosystem membership. So thank you, Governor, for the work that you're doing in today's world. It is laying the foundation for the future of Montenegro in the EU and in the Eurozone. So having said all that, and also towards going to conclusions, I want to widen a little bit the lens and look at the global picture. Because I don't need to explain to you that the world economy in today's world is navigating a period of heightened uncertainty. It's a very interesting time to be at IMF and to see it from the first row, actually. What we are witnessing today the economic impact of geopolitical tensions, of trade disputes, of trade uncertainty. We are witnessing changing global financial conditions. We are witnessing changes in currency valuations. And at the same time, this all happens in a time where there are also structural shifts in major advanced economies. That is like aging population, rising energy costs, climate change. And what is so important in such an environment of so much uncertainty is that there is resilience. Resilience is not becoming optional, but resilience of an economy, of its structure, that's becoming essential. And I here want to quote the managing director of the IMF, that's Mrs. Kristalina Georgieva, because she said it very clear and very bluntly, actually, that there is no room for delay in reforms to enhance economic and financial stability in today's world. So what does it mean a little bit for Montenegro? A small, open economy. It means in such an environment of heightened uncertainty, it is important to stay on course on the reform agenda. And that reform agenda, the governor has said that in the beginning of our meeting, is impressive. A lot of legislation is being adopted. The country is preparing itself for the EU membership. But it also means that you need to maintain a sound fiscal policy, that we need to work and continue to strengthen financial regulation, and also advancing institutional reforms. Institutional reforms that support transparency and good governance. And the IMF is really here to support Montenegro on that journey. And I want to be very clear on that. We are not just observers. The IMF and Montenegro, we are partners. And we do that partnership through policy advice, technical assistance, and our global engagement. And we are really ready to help Montenegro build a stronger and more resilient economy. And I look very much forward to next week, actually, when the IMF Article 4 mission will be here in Montenegro, and it starts its work on the ground. And I will invite you already at this time for the press conference that the IMF, together with the central bank governor and Minister of Finance, will host to discuss the preliminary conclusions, actually, of the IMF visit, and that will take place normally on the 26th of September. So, to all of you, I want to thank you once again for listening to me, and also for the essential work that you're doing, because I cannot say that enough. You help the citizens, the public, make sense of complex economic developments. You help to hold institutions to account, and you bring light to the progress Montenegro is making. And to the governor, thank you for organizing this outreach event. This was very interesting already for me. And your leadership shows that you're not only strengthening the central bank, but that you have a clear commitment to move Montenegro forward to a more stronger and a more better future in Europe. So I look forward to questions, and word is yours. I've spoken enough. Up to you.